So I'm going over some questions from the homework review number 9, the review for the unit. Going over 3A and C here. So we take a look at 3A. Well, this is graphing problem. We want to, first of all, since it's a polynomial on top, polynomial on bottom, we want to factor to see if there's any common factors. Okay, in this case there is this x plus 1 factor. So we want to make note that that's going to be a whole. So there's a whole at x equals -1. Okay, we want to make note of our two zeros here. There's a 0 at x equals -1/2, and there's also 0 at x equals 2. And then lastly, we want to do the vertical asymptote. Okay, the vertical asymptote is going to occur at x equals -5. Okay, so we've got our zeros, horizontal, we need our horizontal or slant asymptote here. In this case, since the degree is 1 higher in the numerator than the denominator, it's going to be a slant asymptote. So we're going to divide. So we have our x plus 5 dividing into 2x squared. Looks like minus 3x minus 2. So our slant asymptote will be at 2x minus 8. Okay, so the remainder is not really relevant, other than the positive remainder does indicate to us that if we have a positive remainder, we know we should be across this diagonal, across that positive diagonal. But our coordinates should verify that. Okay, so we have that, so we're just going to sketch those in. We do want our minimum points and maximum points, so we do want our derivative. So I'm going to take this equation and differentiate it. So I think I'll differentiate it in this form. So 2x squared minus 3x minus 2 over x plus 5. Okay, so we want the derivative of that. So we end up with 4x minus 3 times x plus 5 minus 2x squared minus 3x minus 2. And that's all over the denominator squared. Okay, so then we want to make that equal to 0. There's our y prime. We want to make that equal to 0, so we solve that numerator. So we're going to make the numerator for x squared. That's going to be plus 20x minus 3, so that's plus 17x. Okay, minus 15 minus 2x squared plus 3x plus 2 equals 0. So we end up with 2x squared plus 20x. That looks like to be minus 13 equals 0. Okay, that doesn't look factorable, so we're just going to go straight to the quadratic formula on this one. Okay, so we end up with x equal to -20 plus minus square root. That's going to be 400 minus 4 times a times c. Okay, and that's all over 4. Simplifying that expression, we get -20 plus minus, and that looks to be 26 times 4, so 104. So that 4 plus, that's going to be plus 104, it looks like. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, 4 plus 104, so we get square root 504 all over 4. Okay, and we could probably simplify that looks like, that's going to be 126 or so when we factor the 4 out. So we get negative 10 plus minus 126, it looks like, over 2. Okay, so those are going to be our max and min points. Okay, so we end up looking at this graph. Okay, so let's sketch this graph now. Okay, sketching in this graph, we have a vertical asymptote at negative 5. Let's write down negative 5 there. We have a slant asymptote. It's going to be 2x minus 8. So it's going to be some graph that looks kind of through there like that. Okay, so we're going to have zeros at, what were our zeros again? Negative 1/2 and positive 2. So we're going to have zeros somewhere like that. Okay, we're going to have, when we plug, we have got a y-intercept there if you want to get that y-intercept in, but we're going to have our min point, it looks like. So just working out the decimal value of our min point. Actually, I'm not going to do that yet. Okay, so then our 0 points, we could put in a y-intercept if we like. Okay, and we know the graph at this point, graph's going to go something like this. It's going to go through those points. It's going to go through those points and follow the asymptote, and we're going to have some point in here. Okay, so then finding the y, the x coordinates of those max and min points, okay, based on, we'll do a quick slope chart here. So we have our at 10, negative 10 minus root 126 over 2. Just plugging that into my calculator. Okay, so here we go. Negative 10 minus square root 126 all divided by 2. That's about negative 10.61. Okay, and then we have another min point over here. Okay, so it looks like that min point's going to be just above 1 if I'm not mistaken. 0.61. Okay, so that's going to be 10 plus root 126 over 2, which is 0.61 approximately. So there's my min point here. There's my max point over here. Okay, and that coordinate is going to line up with 10.61. This is going to line up with 0.61. Okay, and I don't really expect you to find the y coordinate for a messy looking number like that.